Welcome to the Michigan Golfer Show. Join us each week as we explore the people, the places, and the events that shape our great game.
We're at the Michigan Golf Hall of Fame with a 2008 inductee, Meriam Bailey Leeke. Meriam, what a pleasure to run into you today. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. Thank you very much.
Meriam, you have so many stories. You started playing golf way before Title IX, back in the 50s. Talk a little bit about how you got started.
Well, there was a 9-hole course in Michigan, the old Channel Trail Golf Course, which I still own, only it's 27 holes now. And I started as a little girl. I was probably 5 years old and started playing with my father, who was a very good golfer and had in a number of different sports. He actually played football with Red Grange at the University of Illinois. And so Dad and I became golf partners, so to speak, and played with him for years. And I took to the game, and I broke 80 when I was about 12 and started playing competitively. And the first tournament I played in actually was the Women's Western Open at Skokie Country Club in Chicago. And at that point, I met all the pros. I met Patty Berg, Louise Suggs, Mickey Wright, Betty Jameson, all of those, because it was a both amateur and pro tournament. And it was great fun, and I probably played in 5 Western Opens and 4 or 5 Western Amateurs, and of course I won the Western Amateur in 1957.
Well, now that's a huge tournament to win, and you went on and went to school at Northwestern?
Yes, Northwestern University, and I won the National Intercollegiate while I was at Northwestern, and I won that at the University of Illinois course.
And there's another golfer who was playing in that tournament. Who would she be?
Oh, there were so many amateurs that were wonderful players. I actually beat Judy Bell in the finals, and Judy, of course, became head of the executive committee of the United States Golf Association. And Judy and I, age-wise, are contemporary, and we've had a lot of fun over the years.
I imagine so. In fact, one of the things I think is kind of interesting is Northwestern eventually inducted you into its Athletic Hall of Fame, but there was something missing. What was that?
My letter, I was inducted into the Hall of Fame I think in 1992, but I didn't get my letter until 2004.
That's the way things were back then. Women weren't really getting letters, were they?
I really didn't think anything about it, to be honest with you. I was very lucky because the Evanston had a wonderful school system, and I went through that system and then to Northwestern University. And that plus the competitive golf allowed me to do a lot of things with ease that would have been difficult otherwise.
You mentioned the combination. You were a business major at Northwestern. The combination opened some doors for you. You were on some boards.
Yeah, I've been on 2 bank boards, 2 college boards, a large foundation board. I'm presently treasurer of the National Golf Course Owners Association, and I'm on that board. And I also have a private pilot's license.
You have a private pilot's license? Tell us about that. Do you still fly?
I haven't flown in the last few years, no. Largely because I'm sort of busy. But I loved it, and I flew for years, and it was great fun. It all started in Germany when I went up to, Lyle was a lieutenant in the Corps of Engineers, and he did a project near a German glider strip, and we started going up in the gliders. And actually, later on, we discovered that these middle-aged men who were teaching us a little bit how to fly were actually former Luftwaffe pilots who had survived.
Uh-oh.
And of course, I had the bug to learn how to flying, and we both received licenses when we got back to the States.
We were talking about flying, and you had mentioned earlier about how without competitive golf, you might not have done some of those things. How is that so?
Well, because competitive golf teaches you so much. For instance, you don't go to tournaments unprepared. You know, you learn to prepare. You learn to operate under pressure. You learn not to give up when you're behind. I won 2 matches where I was 5 down at the turn and won both of them on the 18th hole. You learn not to give up, and likewise, you learn to not to be overconfident when you're ahead.
Wow, that's a great lesson.
Well, and all those things come from competitive golf, you know.
Well, now, one of the competitive tournaments that you played in was the Curtis Cup. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, it's a great honor. I played, actually, the matches were in Boston. And then, you know, 2 years later, they would be in Great Britain, but I played in Boston. And I was this year in May to a reunion at St. Andrews, and all the old Curtis Cup players were there. And we actually had our picture taken, and we had cocktails and dinner at the R&A Clubhouse. And that was a great thrill. In 1963, when I was there with my husband, I was allowed in the trophy room for about 2 minutes. And things have changed that much. It was wonderful.
Things really have changed, which reminds me, how did you meet Lyle Leeke?
I met Lyle in the middle of Lake Michigan. It was the 4th of July. It was my mother's birthday. And we were going back home to Evanston via the Milwaukee Clipper. And we had our car on board, and then we were going to drive down to Evanston. And I was reading out on deck, and Mother kept coming out and saying, "Meriam, if we're going to get a table, we've got to come in." Well, when I came in, there was a doctor and his wife and little daughter from Denver, and there was this young man, and the young man was Lyle. And after a while, he asked me to take a turn around the deck, which I did, and that's what started things.
That started quite a collaboration, including the Old Channel Trail golf courses. And let's finish up with that. The Old Channel Trail is currently undergoing some renovation, but it's a pretty exciting place.
Well, it's a 27-hole golf course, and it's 9 holes from different times. The original 9 was built in the 1920s. Lyle and I built the second 9 in the 1960s, and the third 9 in the 1990s. And Bruce Matthews and Jerry were the architects for the Meadow, the second 9, and Jerry for the third 9. And Robert Bruce Harris, who's quite a famous golf course architect, actually did the original 9 in the 1920s. And he was later head of I think the second one to be head of the Golf Course Architects Association. And each 9 is characteristic of the different times that when it was built. And the original 9, the Woods 9, were built largely with a team of horses and a scoop. Things are different now.
Things are different now, and I think that's one of the fun things about the golf courses, that you can see how golf course design has changed over the years. And
very, very true. Yeah. Very, very true.
Well, this has been so much fun talking with you. Congratulations on your entree into the Michigan Golf Hall of Fame.
Thank you very much. I've enjoyed it.